everybody, welcome to my channel once again, Live Beyond Vision. My name is Diego, and this is going to be a more formal introduction to my channel, in which I will share with you guys reasons as to why I decided to create this channel, as well as what you can expect from me and in this channel. So let's get to it. One of the reasons as to why I decided to create this channel is to create awareness. To create awareness about blindness, introducing the idea that blindness is a spectrum, because it really is, right? And yes, there's a lot of terminology that goes into this. You know, there's like visually impaired, partially blinded, totally blind, blind, you know, like there's just a lot of terminology that could go into it. But at the end of the day, you know, one can say, you know, you're blind, right? It was something I struggled with myself when I was younger, because I would tell people, well, no, I'm not blind. You know, I couldn't identify with the word blind. Perhaps it was because of the stigma. Perhaps it was because, you know, I just wasn't comfortable at the time. But later on, further down in my life, I came to realize, you know what, Diego, you are blind. You know, just, you know, you are blind, and that's, you know, that's the term you got to use. You know, use it for power, right? You know, rather than being shy or being, you could say not ashamed maybe, but embarrassed to say that I'm blind. Just, you know, I decided to be like, all right, you know, I am blind, but let me tell you a little bit about it, right? As to, you know, how I'm blind, you know, because a lot of people are like, you're looking right at me. And so I had to explain, right? I became more of an educator. So sharing this spectrum, you know, I also want to share my experiences, because I feel like I went evolving into blindness because, you know, I went through different stages. For example, I started when I began to lose my vision. I was, first of all, I was very stubborn, and I did not want to use a cane. I still had sight in terms of, I was still able to see, you know, more clear, and, you know, to be able to travel on my own. I still did it without my cane. Yes, my cane could have maybe helped me a little bit, and put me in a few less dangerous situations, but, you know, I still managed to do without it. And then a little bit later, I needed my cane, but I didn't want to use it. So, you know, again, I was blind, but I didn't want to use my cane. And then further down, I began to use it in places where, you know, I really felt anxious, and I really needed, okay, I need help. I need to, you know, rely on my cane for real. For example, when I traveled like in the airport, or when I went to the mall, or when I went somewhere on my own that was new. And then later on, or as kind of like now, where I use my cane at all times, everywhere I go, you know, it's always in my hand. I might be lying, because sometimes I forget I'm blind and I forget my cane in my house. Believe it or not only that, there's other stories where I literally forget it, and then I'm walking, and then I realize, like, wait, there's something missing. Or I end up hitting the wall. I kid you not. There are a few times where I hit a closed door or a wall, because I thought it was open, or I didn't see it actually. But anyways, you know, I'll be sharing more of those stories with you guys. So I want to create awareness about, you know, blindness, you know, maybe answer a lot of, you know, questions that people might have, or curiosities that people might have and perhaps don't want to ask, right? I look at myself now, and I think about myself before, when I could see, right? And I know I would have so many questions for myself, right? One of the best things for me is like being open to share, because it not only makes me feel more comfortable, but I'm sure it also feels it makes other people feel more comfortable being around me, right? Because they might not know how to do certain things, or they might feel like they need to overhelp me, and I'm like, no, you don't need to help me. You know, you don't need to do that. You know, you could just tell me where the bathroom is. You know, is it to my left? Is it to my right? You know, 2 doors down. You know, like, you know, I try and teach them how to guide me in a way where, you know, I'm comfortable, and they don't have to go totally out of the way to do certain things, right? Another thing that I hope to do with my videos is not only share with you guys the what I call Superman version of myself, which is that person who, you know, was able to get through so many obstacles, who, you know, went to college, got his bachelor's, then went to grad school, got his master's, then came out, got a job, you know, was working on his licensure for clinical social worker, right? And just going through all these obstacles. You know, I don't only want to share all those successes, right? I want to be able to share with you guys the dark moments, as to what I guess I could call them that. You know, times where I was depressed, times, you know, things that I missed, you know, like more moments that are real, right? I mean, not that the other things aren't real, but things that build me up, right? Things that people don't see, things that I haven't shared with family or many friends, right? Maybe only things that maybe my closest friend knows. Because, you know, I'm sure there's people out there who will be seeing these videos who perhaps are going through something similar, whether it's, having RP, which is what I have, or molecular degeneration, or Stargardt's, I believe, is another eye condition in which one loses vision or whatnot. And I put myself in their shoes, and I remember how I felt when I was 16 and I was beginning to lose vision. And if somebody who, for example, me today, if I was talking to my 16-year-old version of myself who just started losing vision, and I was just sharing stories about me going to college and being like, yeah, it's possible, and because I did it, it's possible, and now I'm over here getting a job, like, I feel like that child would just shut down and like stop paying attention, because it feels so far away that it's not it doesn't feel real, right? So I want to share stories of things that I missed, my things I was angry at, like the things I actually went through, because I'm sure people will be able to relate more to that, right? Because it'll show my side, my vulnerability, because I want to create videos in which one can feel that it's okay to feel the way you're feeling right now. I was feeling that same way at one point in my life, right? Because it's true. Like, it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel mad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to feel that life sucks, and that you miss things, because it's all true, and it's not something that you're gonna lose from one day to another. Using the cane, it's not something that you're gonna pick it up tomorrow and say, okay, today I'm gonna use my cane and I don't care what people say. It's not. It's difficult, and I went through it, and I'll be sharing my stories in which it took me so long to be able to feel comfortable with my cane. And even now, here and there in certain situations, I still feel this a little bit of embarrassment for whatever reason. I try to ignore it, but sometimes, I'll be honest, I really do. And so I try to be as confident as I can, but sometimes it gets to me a little bit, right? And it's not a perfect life. Like in all these videos, I'll be sharing, I smile and I'm happy, and I say certain things, but in a lot of moments that I'll be sharing, I was sad, and it was difficult, right? And even today, from time to time, I still miss things, and it's okay. It's okay to miss things. It's okay to feel that life sucks sometimes, because life is not always happy. I'll be lying to myself if I smile every day and I don't get mad when like I shared in one of my other videos. Yes, branches are gonna hit my face. A lot of times, I laugh about it and I make a joke or whatever, but there are some times where, like, I'm perhaps having a bad day, and then I get hit with a branch in the face, and I just had it, and I get mad, and I just, but then I, catch myself, and I take a deep breath, and I'm like, all right, Diego, life goes on. Like, there's moments, right, from time to time in which I really do, have like, just a down moment. I will also have many more videos, in terms of talking about friends, talking about family, talking about identity. That's, something very important to me, and I can't wait to share that video with you guys. I'll talk about counseling, I'll talk about talking to others, I'll talk about mentors, I talk about teachers, career paths, as well as why I decided to go to college, things like that. Other experiences in high school, for like I've been doing in my previous videos, talking about my junior year, and my senior year. I'll talk about prom a little bit. I'll share all these experiences with you guys, because there's just so much that goes into this, into my story, and I'm sure people will be able to identify with that. I do use humor a lot, and that's one of the things that I guess a lot of the people around me see. And if, for example, if you guys, or if people see how my closest friends, and me get along, and like how we get along, or how they get along with me, they always crack blind jokes, and we're always just laughing at stuff. For example, we're all drinking with some of the friends, they're like, well, right now, I think Diego could probably get us home safer than I can, or things like that. We're always just cracking jokes, and it's funny. It's funny to me, and if it's funny to me, we're all laughing. But I have a pretty high tolerance, and it took a while for me to get there. It wasn't something that, like I said, right after I started losing my vision, I didn't crack a joke. Hell no. It was hard. But, as time goes on, one starts to realize certain things. And, I always enjoy cracking a joke here and there. And I also feel that, it's a way to address the elephant in the room. I feel a lot of times where I step into a place, people automatically just not all of them, but some people automatically just start kind of being reserved as to like what they say. They try to watch their mouth, or I mean their mouth. They try to watch the words they say, or they say something and then they turn to me and they like, no offense, or or they say I'm sorry, and I don't like that. Like it, because it's like, you keep on going about your day. Yes, be aware that I may need some kind of audio cue for something, right? And if you're able to do that and accommodate me, great. But if you're not, don't say sorry for something that perhaps I understand it is not a lot of people work with somebody or have interacted many times with a person who's blind, right? And it actually makes me feel weird when you point me out and say, I'm sorry, Diego, and I'm like, well, like I don't know what to do, I had a professor who once, like, she was saying I believe, oh no, the projector hit her in her eyes, and then she was like, oh, I'm blind. I was blind there for a second, and then she turned around to me and she was like, oh, no offense, Diego, and I was like, the hell is she talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, it made me feel weird, because then it was like, what like, people look at me and I'm like, what am I supposed to do, right? So I mean, I let it, like, again, I'm not a confrontational person, but yeah, my friends was like, that was kind of bogus, right? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know what to do, right? So yeah, I'll have many videos of like just funny stories that happened to me, whether because I wasn't using my cane or because people didn't really understand that I couldn't see, even though I have my cane. I actually had this one lady at a Walmart tell me if I was gonna pay for my cane. I guess she thought it was a golf club or something, I don't know. And it was weird, because then she's like, are you gonna pay for that? And I was like, what? And like, I'm like, the only thing I had in my hand was my cane. And then she's like, that. And then I'm like, what? And like, she grabs my cane and she's like, this. And I'm like, this is my cane. And I'm like, I'm blind. And then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So it's like, I was like, well, things happen, right? But it depends how I want to make it. Like, I wasn't mad, because I mean, I actually thought it was kind of funny, and I know she felt more embarrassed than I did. So, life goes on. But aside from all that, in the honor of having the World Cup Russia 2018 coming up, I plan to make a few videos, or a series of videos, sharing with you guys my vision loss, right? My vision loss, my vision loss experience through soccer, right? So I'm gonna share videos as to like a little bit about my childhood playing soccer, then how I lost my vision, and how I still lived soccer or played soccer when I stopped playing soccer or decided to do that. All these experiences that happened to me that led up to me not playing soccer anymore, and how I still live soccer now, right? Because I still do. And one last thing I want to share with you guys is why I decided to name my channel Life Beyond Vision. I'm at the point in my life where I have accepted, or fully accepted, that I'm blind, and I've embraced it, and it's a part of me, and it's something that it's not gonna go away. And so I'm happy. I can share with you guys that I am happy. I'm living my life the way I want it to be, and I have accepted that just because I can't see doesn't mean life can't be beautiful, right? I have found many ways of finding life to be beautiful, and being able to share my experiences with others, my family, my friends, co-workers, and people that I meet. And like I mentioned in my other video, like I mentioned before in this video, I see myself as an educator. Anywhere I go, in many places I've been the first blind individual in that situation, whether if it was an internship, whether if it was working, whether if it was a class, and I was able to, I guess, share something with another person who didn't know much, right? Or expand their knowledge on what blindness is, right? Now, I do say this, and, I'm 25 now. It's, I've been blind for, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 9 years. So for 9 years, I've been through a lot, different stages of blindness, and, I have a lot to share, right? And so, if you asked me maybe 4 years ago, Life Beyond Vision, I wouldn't think about that at all. I was still at a point where I was kind of struggling or whatnot. And so, it took me a long time to accept that I'm blind. It took me a long time to identify with others who are blind, right? Not only that, but, I still have my moments, as I mentioned earlier in the video. From time to time, I still do feel sad. And I also came to, I understand that there might be a possibility that I lose more vision in the future. And just because I accept it doesn't mean I'm not scared. Of course I'm scared. Of course I'm scared of losing more vision. But it's just my reality. And I guess if it comes, when the time comes, I'll see how I end up dealing with that, right? What's important to me is that I know I have a good support with family and friends, and I have them to fall back on, right? Anytime I need some encouragement or some motivation, I know I'm not alone. And lastly, I remember once I was talking to the psychologist, and I was sharing with her like what I was doing, right, in terms of like my life, and like, just because I'm blind, I'm not gonna let that stop me from achieving certain goals or whatnot, right? And one thing that I told her was like, I know I'm gonna lose more vision, but I'm not gonna sit back and wait for a cure to come, or I'm not gonna sit back and, just do nothing with my life, because I won't be satisfied and I will be doing nothing for myself, right? So I want to use my time to contribute to the world one way or another, right? I enjoy helping others, and as a reason why as to why I'm a social worker. And I want to be able to impact like other people's lives, right, one way or another. Yes, I do have my pain, and yes, from time to time, it hurts, but I use that pain and I use that energy to help me motivate others, and to that just brings me happiness, right? To be able to know that I'm a valuable person, right? I have value one way or another. And it's funny because as I was just sharing all this to her, she told me about this one book. It's called Radical Acceptance, and she explained to me that it's like a Buddhism idea, and it's basically the way she explained it to me. I read a little bit about the book. I read it a while back, and I can't remember too much about it. But the best example I can remember is she's like, imagine that it's raining outside, and you really really wanted to go outside and, I don't know, do something, right? But now you're stuck inside your house. Rather than being mad and angry and wasting your time in your house, you can do something valuable. You can do something with that time that you have while the rain clears, and then maybe you could go outside. Okay, well, it's a little different because like my vision's not gonna come back if I'm talking about like the rain being me losing vision. It's not gonna come back. But I do understand that I live with my pain, and I'm able to do something with my life, and not just sit back and do nothing and wait for life to go on without me doing something, right? So that's something that I totally live by, and I plan to do as long as I can. But anyways, that is the video for today. It's just a quick introduction. I hope you guys keep on following my channel, and I hope to have many more videos for you guys. All right, so thank you for watching, and I will have a new video for you guys soon.